And but it's nice to see that the Kansas City Royals, and I think a lot of these things revert back to the Houston Astros and the foundation they created in building a winning ball club. And it was interesting to see how other teams do it. The White Sox are very similar to what the Astros did, but the Kansas City Royals kind of build their team around their ballpark. And I found that kind of fascinating. And I'm not sure if you recognize this, Tuttle, but the Kansas City Royals for me are a little bit of a throwback. They've got some really good young starting pitching, but their lineup, they preach defense. They're fast, because they've got a big outfield to cover out there in Kauffman Stadium. But at the same time, it's really hard to hit home runs out there. But they have a couple of guys at the top of their lineup that are high contact, speed, bunt, sacrifice, hit and run, handle the bat type guys. And it was kind of refreshing, actually, to see that. I don't know if you agree.
I completely agree. And I think, this is where we've talked about, analytics versus the eyeball test quite a bit in the past. But I think that's the kind of the foundation for success is not copying somebody else. I think if you go to football, and everybody kind of the consensus now in modern day football is that Bill Belichick is one of the greatest coaches. And I just remember playing high school football, and we did have film back then. That was great, But we would sit in Monday morning after the Saturday night game, and we wouldn't watch Saturday's game, win, lose, draw, whatever. But we would watch the team that we were playing, and then all week they'd say, look at this tight end. He's 6'4", 250. All they do is throw a hot read to him. So you two linebackers are going to do this. And we just schemed the whole week. And, we would have the scout team run this offense. They would run all their plays. And I just think it's so funny that, I always argued that Moneyball was a great book, and, Billy Beane did great things with the A's, but really when it came to fruition is when the Red Sox took all the money from Moneyball. They took a high payroll and they used the same strategy. But I think, that's what you have to do. If you have a ballpark, you got to play like that. Like Billy Hamilton's not the greatest center fielder in all these places, but in Kansas City or in, some of the bigger ballparks where there are not a lot of home runs, San Francisco, he'd be a fantastic addition, guys like that. And you have to build your team. And I think, I am certainly a Giants homer, but when we look at the Giants and you keep talking about them and how successful they are, they are built for their ballpark. They're built for San Francisco. And that's why there are a lot of kind of, I wouldn't say no-name guys, but I think a lot of people thought like Yastrzemski's grandson's not going to be like Carl Yastrzemski, but he's great there. He's awesome. Mm-hmm. And, they've really done a good job knowing that pitching and defense is what's going to get it done out there with timely hitting. And I think that that's the way, I don't know if it's the wave of the future, but when you talk about Kansas City and even Houston, right? I think they're built for that ballpark. The Crawford boxes get worn out, even by left-handed hitters. So I don't know if that's a unique thing. You obviously asked the question, is that a unique thing around baseball? Do you think the copycat GMs are few and far between, or do you think that more teams are going to be more inclined to build their team around their ballpark? Because I think that's the key to success.
I think they should. They're playing 81 games in those ballparks, so you got to adapt to your environment. And I think it's kind of interesting just in the sense that you saw, the Texas Rangers are a good example. I'm not sure what they're doing in Texas right now, to be honest with you, but they moved into a new ballpark, and I think they're trying to figure out what team's going to be successful in that new ballpark, because previously in that outdoor stadium that they had in Arlington, the ball flew out of that ballpark. So you could put a bunch of sluggers in there and let them go, but it was tough to find pitchers who could pitch in that ballpark. Now you're finding in their new ballpark, pitching can be good. Our defense is going to be better, but we don't have guys. We got to figure out how to produce runs. And I think that's why you saw Joey Gallo. Obviously, the trade value was high, but I think that's why Joey Gallo got jettisoned. Now they might start making adjustments and getting some guys that can play it maybe a little more of an all-around game. But with Joey Gallo and Anthony Rizzo going to New York, that right field porch is 310 feet away from home plate. So why not get some lefties that can pull the ball and get it out of the ballpark? Because they were a right-handed dominant team, much like the Houston Astros, to what Tuttle's talking about with Minute Maid Park. Why wouldn't you have a heavy right-handed dominant hitting team in Minute Maid Park because of those Crawford boxes? But I think that, once the analytics has kind of maxed itself out for me. And I think now, like Tuttle is saying, we're putting our eyes on things and we're adapting to our environments. And I think you might see some of these ball clubs use the analytics with the idea of how do we win inside our inside our ballpark and adjust accordingly. So it'll be a lot of fun to watch that unfold. But I think that's going to do it for this first segment.
So if you like the video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit the bell so you can get notified when we post new videos.